happy Wednesday. It is 4th of July Eve. If you have big 4th of July plans, please be safe. A few years back, actually, I tweeted out to people and encouraged them to drop their Venmo if they needed a ride home, a Lyft, an Uber. I might do the same thing again because I am big on safety. It's the mother in me. I'm the oldest of four. So whatever you do tomorrow, please be safe. Have so much fun. Drink some beers, watch some fireworks, and celebrate this fabulous country. Okay, so there you go. We've got a few things to discuss today, not a ton. Obviously, we know we're kind of in this pause. I know I am personally waiting on what the Denver Nuggets are going to do next. It feels a little too quiet in Denver right now during this free agency frenzy. So while we wait, there's some other things that we can talk about. The free agency obviously has been intense, and I feel like NBA is one of those leagues where a team could look completely different from one season to the next. You know, with the NFL, it's a little different. Usually keep your quarterbacks where they're at. Obviously, the poverty franchises have to do a little bit more chess playing. But for the most part, the teams will stay the same throughout the seasons. And the NBA, you really could get a completely different team, completely different vibe from one season to the next. And that's kind of what we're seeing now. We're seeing a lot of people playing chess or checkers. I'm not sure. And we know the chess master in this league, whether you want to admit it or not, is Mr. LeBron James. Now, I am not going to flame him. I am not going to roast him. I don't have anything necessarily bad to say about him right now. We know he has now signed a 2-year, $104 million contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. And honestly, the no trade clause is probably the most interesting part about that. But I want to talk a little bit about LeBron James in this free agency era right now. There were moments where LeBron James was flirting with the idea of taking a pay cut, which honestly is extremely genius. And I think that what we're seeing with LeBron James, with Bronny joining the Lakers, and with the conversations about him getting a pay cut and then not getting a pay cut at all, 2-year, $104 million maximum contract. What we're seeing with LeBron James is just how much power is a good word, just how much power he has within that franchise in particular, probably any of the ones that he plays for. And you could argue he's earned that right, being who he is and playing in the league for so long and being LeBron James. You've earned the right to be able to call the shots, but he is no dummy. And we have seen LeBron James flirt with a lot of different things when it comes to the media. We've seen him flirt with retirement and get everybody up in arms and get everybody in their feelings. We have seen many times what I would call media manipulation by LeBron James. Now, manipulation obviously typically has a very negative context to it. It doesn't sound like a great word, but this man knows what he's doing. I have to give him credit. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to play the game, and he's a chess master. He flirted with the idea of a pay cut, knowing damn well he was not taking a pay cut. But in doing that, it gave him the ability to flirt with the market, figure out who would be willing to play with the Los Angeles Lakers, if anyone at all. And so it was a great PR move, and I've got to give him credit 100%. I think that the Lakers are going to struggle to get guys like maybe DeRozan, Paul George, I think, was in conversations. Clay was kind of looking at the opportunity of playing with the Lakers, but it's a tough team to play for. I think that you know that when you're on that team, there's a lot less job security because I think that this organization struggles to take ownership when things go south. I think they've got to find somebody to blame, and if you're not LeBron, AD, you could very quickly be the one that's trade bait and gone the next day. So we've seen it with D'Angelo Russell. 1 second, we're praising him. He's great. We need him in this offense. The next second, he needs to go. We can't deal with him. He's costing us the playoffs. So again, lots of finger pointing that goes on in Los Angeles, and I think that makes it an unattractive team to play for when people are in free agency and they're shopping around. But again, LeBron James with a stellar PR move, flirted with that pay cut, made it seem like he'd be willing to take less money for the right guy. And that's just it. He mentioned that because, hey, whoever really wants to play here, I'm willing to take less money. Knowing damn well he probably didn't want to take less money. That was never his goal or his, desire. But I think he was fishing. I think he was trying to figure out who wants to play in Los Angeles, who can they snag. And he's running the show out there. And I think if you think that he's not running the show out there, you're crazy. He's got a lot of power. He's earned that power. Not going to take that away from him, but he absolutely has a lot of power. So LeBron James, he is with the Lakers, and he's playing alongside Bronny, which I will say, very historic, very exciting thing to witness. It was really cool to see when when he was drafted, which was no surprise. I felt like that was what was kind of irritating about it, is we missed the oohs and ahs of draft day for Bronny James because we all knew that was happening. It was something that was talked about for months and months and months. There was no special moment, it felt like. We all knew what they were going to say. We knew where he was headed. So I guess the question now is, what kind of a role does Bronny James have on this Los Angeles Lakers team? We know that LeBron has a lot of pull over there. He calls the shots. He's running the show. What kind of role does Bronny James have? Is LeBron going to be able to pull some strings to get Bronny James some really good minutes? Is Bronny just going to prove himself on his own, and all he needs is that one opportunity, maybe, that LeBron helps him get in terms of just getting on the floor for an extended period of time to prove what he's capable of? Because we see it a lot with rookies. They don't get a ton of playing time. And so it'll be interesting to see what Bronny James is able to do. Obviously, he's got a very, very intimidating job in front of him, not just because he's playing basketball on the largest stage, but because he is the son of LeBron James and probably, I would assume, wants to make his own name for himself. Kind of hard to do when you're named LeBron James Jr., but he probably wants to be his own player, his own guy, have his own identity on this Lakers team, but I just think that's going to be really hard for him. I really do. I don't know how you escape being LeBron James' son in this situation. So it'll be interesting to see what his role looks like. Will he start for a game or two? Will he get good minutes up front and early so that he can hopefully prove himself and then just become a part of the rotation on his own? Who knows? Only time will tell. So I'm interested to see what that looks like. I want to talk a little bit of NFL as well. I don't know if you guys have seen the Hard Knocks documentary where they're kind of taking you in to the world of the NFL, letting you get an inside look at particular teams and quarterbacks. And it's been really fun to actually watch this all unfold. But we've now gotten some clips of the Giants organization having conversations about Daniel Jones. Now, we know in the NFL, quarterbacks are the most important player on the field in terms of the money that the team spends and the success of the team, the downfall of the team. There is a lot of pressure when it comes to being a quarterback in the NFL, and rightfully so when you're paid as much as you're paid. There are probably a lot of people in this world that believe Daniel Jones is not worth $40 million. Okay? I will tell you this. Yes, Daniel Jones is probably not worth $40 million. If you watch the NFL like I do, if you are subscribed to the Red Zone, if you are constantly keeping up with all the teams, and you're even placing bets, because putting your money on Danny Dimes is maybe not the best idea. But if you are following and if you have watched Danny Dimes in action, you know, yeah, it's been a little rough at times. For sure, it's been a little rough. However, is he solely to blame? No. He's got one of the worst offensive lines in the league, okay? Big problem. So what we were seeing in some of these clips was essentially the execs and the general manager speaking about Danny Dimes and not wanting to give up on Danny Dimes and wanting to build a better line around him because there's clearly potential that the Giants see in Danny Dimes. But there was a conversation that was very interesting to me, and it was about the possibility of losing Saquon Barkley, which we know now has already happened. But the quote that was said was, "We lose Saquon, what's our identity going to be?" Well, your identity should be your $40 million quarterback. And if it's not, you need to stop paying that man $40 million. So I guess my question is, for the football watchers, for the NFL watchers, is the Giants' best bet to get, average Joe quarterback that you don't have to pay as much as you pay Danny Dimes. Build weapons around them, get a better offensive line, and put your money towards those things? Or do you continue to give Danny Dimes a chance and blame the offensive line and say, that's the issue, he'll be fine once we fix the line? Again, when you're paying somebody that much money, whether it's their fault or not, sports fans don't care. Why are we paying him $40 million when he's done nothing for us this season? That's all we care about. Is it a one-man show in the NFL? No. But again, you could be the hero as the quarterback or the villain. You're very quickly the first one to blame when things aren't going well, and you're also the first one to praise when things are going well. But it was very interesting to see this conversation because, like I said, if losing your running back also makes you lose your identity while you are simultaneously paying a quarterback $40 million, I think there's a bigger problem. There's a much bigger problem that needs to be discussed. We are overpaying this quarterback if our identity is lost when we lose a running back. Or we are not setting this quarterback up for success at all. So it was very interesting to kind of get that perspective because we know these NFL teams, any team really, the execs have all these conversations behind closed doors that we don't get to hear. We are not involved in. And it was very interesting to hear their perspective on, they see a lot of potential in Danny Dimes. They know that they have not given him what he needs, yet identity is gone if they lose a running back. Pick one. Are you prioritizing the weapons around Danny Dimes or Danny Dimes? Because we're doing a little bit of, there's some wishy-washiness. And honestly, in the clip, you can kind of see them even having some conflict between one another, going back and forth. Like, listen, the exec said, if we lose Saquon, we lose our identity. And then the GM responded and said, we've got to upgrade the offensive line, and you're paying Danny Dimes $40 million. It's not to hand the ball off to a $12 million back. However, how important is that running back when you don't trust Danny Dimes to throw the ball? I mean, he's been a little bit injury prone as of late. So it's an interesting conversation. We know running backs are severely underpaid in this league and have been for quite some time, despite putting their bodies through the absolute most every single week during the season. So it makes you wonder. Not the last time, but one of the other Guerilla Sports Dailies that we did here was a conversation that we had about NFL teams talking about having a completely separate salary cap for quarterbacks, which would make it very interesting. I think it would eliminate a lot of issues. One, you wouldn't have a quarterback in the Super Bowl on a rookie contract. You could probably spend a little bit more money and pay your running backs, as just an example, more of what they deserve. And you're not seeing mid quarterbacks making too much money. So maybe it's not a bad idea. And watching these conversations with the Giants exec and general manager definitely make me wonder if the separate salary cap is the way to go moving forward. Because it does seem that spending money on quarterbacks is a necessary evil. It only feels evil, though, when you don't have a Patrick Mahomes. But it's hard. It's hard. It's like the market for quarterbacks in the NFL has just been insane. And the amount of money that we see in free agency just being thrown around for any sport is like mind-blowing to me, oftentimes. So free agency stuff has been wild, like I just mentioned. Still waiting to figure out what the Denver Nuggets are going to do next. It's been awfully quiet here, and I do understand that, like I just mentioned with this Hard Knock stuff, there's a lot of conversations that we don't get to hear, things that we don't necessarily understand. If you didn't tune into Hoops Your Daddy yesterday, I spoke a little bit about the KCP situation leaving Denver. Interestingly enough, there was a Nuggets news page that posted and basically implied that KCP was offered the same thing, if not just about, by the Nuggets as the Magic. Like they were matching offers basically, and that KCP is the one that chose to go to Orlando. I saw that many times. That was not just the only account that had said that. There was many references that implied that KCP was given just about the same thing in Denver as he would have gotten in Orlando. Now, obviously, when you look at cost of living, taxes, you can break it down, and money doesn't always look the same in two different places. However, on that news post, it was on Instagram, KCP's wife commented and said, false. So it makes you wonder what kind of conversations were happening behind closed doors. I have to tell you, as a Nuggets fan, it hurt my feelings thinking about the idea that KCP just didn't want to be here anymore. Why? That made me upset. Now I'm finding out, okay, now we're trying to frame him to maybe be the bad guy or the one that didn't want to be here anymore, when really maybe that wasn't the case. I think there's a lot of, or can be a lot of shadiness in front offices. I'm not implying that that's what it is in Denver, but I think that there's a lot of times where they refuse to take responsibility for what's happening, and they really just need to find somebody to blame. I mentioned that earlier in this show with the Lakers. I think that's why the Lakers are a really tough organization to play for, because just like that, you could become trade bait and you're gone. There's very little job security over there because they don't want to take ownership when things aren't going well. We've got to point a finger somewhere, right? So it's tough, super tough. The only other thing that I was going to talk about today was a really great, actually I have two more things. A really great moment, I'm not sure if you guys saw it, between Jackie Young and Caitlin Clark. Jackie Young, Caitlin kind of slid to the ground, and then Jackie Young basically intentionally tied her shoe to give Clark more time to get up and make sure she was okay. She even leaned over, she asked if she was good, and I really loved seeing this. I think that what we saw in the NBA for a good amount of time, and I think it slowed down a little bit, was it just felt like Caitlin Clark couldn't catch a break. Now, do I think that there were moments and opportunities where she could have spoken up about some of the frustrations that the rest of the league had? Yes. But do I also think that the rest of the league needed to get off her back a little bit? Also, yes. So to see some support that's not just, I'm sure she gets support behind closed doors. I'm sure she's got conversations going with a lot of different people. But to see it on the court with an opposing player in front of everybody's eyes was really cool to see. Class act by Jackie Young, obviously. But I'm really hoping that there can be some cohesiveness, honestly, with Caitlin Clark and everybody else. I know we don't like to make her the center of attention. We don't like to just talk about Caitlin Clark, but she is the one right now that has the most pull. Angel Reese is another big one, obviously, but I would love to see a little bit of cohesiveness moving forward, because I think the WNBA is on the right track to getting the attention that they've deserved for so long and continuing to grow, and eventually, hopefully, being able to pay them better. So I liked that moment. I thought that was really cool. It felt like the first time we're seeing Caitlin Clark get some love. Like love, genuine love. Not just, hey, what's up? Good to see you. Nice job. You're great. It was like she was looking out for Caitlin Clark and wasn't even her teammate. I thought that was cool. I really enjoyed that. I'm always all about sportsmanship. And I'm sure Caitlin Clark could probably use a little bit of that here and there. I'm sure what she was dealing with, that none of which she asked for, was extraordinarily difficult. So I thought that was cool. And the final thing I wanted to ask you guys about, and this is where I really want you guys loud in the chat, if you would, and we'll pop some comments up on the screen as you guys are saying things, but where should DeMar DeRozan play? Which team should he sign with? This is a very interesting question, and I would love to know your thoughts. Right off the top, my brain says Phoenix. That's where I go. I jump straight to Phoenix for DeRozan. We have seen him in conversations with a lot of different teams, or many different teams. More importantly, we've seen conversations about him just wanting out of Chicago. So I don't know if you guys have a preferred destination for him. I personally think Phoenix would be a great fit, but would love to know what you guys think. You think he would fit well with the Nuggets? Okay. Don't hate it. I think I've already mentally set myself on Russell Westbrook, which is a really stupid thing to do because we have no idea if that's actually happening. So I need to like pump the brakes a little bit. But interesting. You say Nuggets. Yeah, I lean Phoenix here. Clippers. Gosh, I would hate to play for the Clippers right now. They are just on the struggle bus. They did lose PG. Yeah, you've got a great point there. You've got a great point there. So maybe Clippers. The Utah Jazz. Okay, he needs a reset physically and mentally. Okay, I like that. Yeah, I don't know why. I go Phoenix for DeRozan. That's kind of where I see fit. I think it would help Phoenix out a lot. Although, who knows? I saw some people having conversations about the Spurs. What does it look like if he's in San Antonio? I don't hate that. However, Chris Paul just went over there, so I'm not sure what that would look like. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Obviously, there's still a few guys floating around trying to figure out where they're going to land. I really just care about the Nuggets. Who are we getting? When is it happening? Because I'm starting to feel like there is no plan. And maybe that's the point. Maybe they want me to think there's not a plan. I see what you're doing, Nuggets. I see what you're doing. You guys think you're sly. You're not. Great. Well, is there anything else, chat? There really wasn't a whole lot that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I just really wanted to hang out. Obviously, LeBron signs a new contract after being an absolute media finesser and chess player extraordinaire. And then we had Danny Dimes being fought for by the Giants, but also being basically ignored. We lose our identity if we lose Saquon. Hi, here I am, $40 million quarterback. Hi, still here. We see you. Sportsmanship in the WNBA, we've talked about all that this morning. I need your quick thoughts on the Nets trade last week. Tyler, pick a new team. No, I'm kidding. Well, I'm not, actually. Tyler, you already love the Nuggets, so hang up all your Nets stuff until like maybe a decade from now when they finally get their lives together. I would just put it in a tub, stick it in crawl space, and buy yourself a Nuggets jersey. Because you already support the Nuggets, so you may as well just go full send. I am a Denver Nuggets fan. This is where I'm at. I think it would be better that way, personally. Anything else from the chat before we wrap things up and you guys have a happy 4th? Any thoughts? Also, if we get Derek White. Well, Derek White is not going anywhere. But I would love that because I really love Derek White actually a lot. A lot. And he's a Colorado native. I'll be in Denver for the Nets-Nuggets game, so I might as well. There you go. Love that. See, I'm telling you, just retire the Brooklyn stuff. Come on over to the Nuggets side. You already support them. It'll just be an easy transition for you. But anyways, you guys, thank you for being here with me on this fine Wednesday morning. The 4th of July is tomorrow. Please be safe and make good choices. Call the Uber if you need to call the Uber, but have fun, eat lots of food, spend time with family and friends, and we will catch you. We will not be doing a Guerilla Sports Daily show tomorrow. It's the 4th of July. We're going to be hanging out, enjoying our time. But we will have some social clips that we can post tomorrow that you guys can have your eyes out on. So just know everything will resume as normal starting Friday. But we're going to take the day off tomorrow just like you will. Enjoy yourselves. Hopefully the weather is nice. And we'll be back again Friday. Thanks for hanging. See ya.